if you want to see more, or you're in the Virginia area and you want to support Bryson, Triple Oaks Farm LLC.com. All right. So let me ask you this. I'll show an article in a second. The USDA is now projecting that egg prices are going to go up 20% because all these big farms are euthanizing their chickens. And they'll say, well, the best practices. Well, whose best practices? Like what? Because they are exactly what we've talked about this show. They're working arm in arm with these big regulators. They're doing what the big regulators say. They're following the big regulator science. And so, millions and millions of chickens are being, I don't know, what are they, gassed or something? I mean, I don't know how it's like they'll say euthanized, but I don't even want to know exactly what they're doing to these chickens. And so egg sales are, you're going to start paying more if you go to the grocery store. The USDA says you're going to be paying a lot more for eggs. I have a friend in Chicago who said they were like regular non-organic eggs were going for like $12 at the grocery store. So what do you think about that in light of what we've been talking about?
If you're paying $12 for a dozen eggs, you got to know how much a chicken costs. Okay. You got to know how much a chicken costs. What do I think about it? I think it's all going according to plan. The U.S. government wants to control the food as tightly as possible. Because if you control the food, you control the people. I don't know if you realize this, but you have to eat to survive. So it doesn't surprise me, of course. I wonder, are these contract chicken farmers that these farms are getting shut down? Because I don't understand. I don't see like a private business just saying, well, you came in here and you provided us with the test kit for the bird flu, just like COVID. And that test kit came back positive. And now you're telling me we have to euthanize all these birds in the name of public safety. I just don't see a private independent guy agreeing to that. But if it was like Eggland's Best, like contracted layer, I could see them because they have to. Because they have
contracts.
Again, they have contracts.
Yeah. It seems like many of these are very large farms. Well, one of the things that Joel Salatin said when he was on last time talking about this was he doesn't really quite understand the whole like euthanize everybody tactic, because he said, hey, if I had a bunch of chickens and some died of whatever this is and others didn't, I would say, wow, that's amazing. These chickens didn't die. Let me breed them for their genetics because they obviously like have something that the other chickens didn't, instead of killing them, which doesn't make any real sense scientifically. So I thought that was a really good point. Like the question of what's going on is suspect. The answer to the protocol is suspect. The whole thing is suspect, but it's not a bad time to get to know a local person who's got chickens. All right. So, because I'll tell you what, we got chickens almost exactly 1 year ago. My daughter rode home with a couple chicks on her shoulders, and now we get, 15 to 17 eggs a day. And we have not bought eggs in months, and we have a blast with the chickens. But you're right. Price of feed, that's an issue. That's a bottleneck for somebody like us, but we don't have to worry about going to the grocery store and finding no eggs, or the price has gone up significantly. So get to know somebody who's got chickens in 2025. But yeah, they do seem to be large. Like it says, as of January 17th, it's impacted more than 136 million poultry, which I think impacted means it's killed. People have euthanized, farmers have euthanized 136 million chickens or ducks or, whatever they're selling, poultry across 50 U.S. states since January, 2022. And so they're saying, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture price outlook, egg prices are predicted to increase about 20% in 2025 compared to 2.2% for overall food prices. So that's the difference, 2.2% overall food prices and 20% for eggs. The USDA attributed the rise in egg costs to the highly pathogenic avian influenza or bird flu outbreak, which has caused a strain in supply. And, it's interesting that says the price hike is not sudden. Eggs cost 36.8% more in December 2024 than in December 2023, but we're still below peak prices from January 2023, according to the USDA. So, I don't know. It's really just an interesting thing to watch. I guess interesting is probably a nice way to say it. But if you notice, like a lot of the farms that are dealing with this, that are like euthanizing their chickens, they're very large. Yeah, they are very large industrial farms. And people like you who have had on the show so far have not had any issues. What happens, like in your case, like how could the state come after somebody like you? I mean, if you don't have a contract, are you concerned about that at all? Are farmers like you concerned about avian flu and coming after the smaller farms?
So it's not just the eggs that they're going after with the excuse of bird flu. It's also milk, raw milk as well.
Right.
They're using that the same thing. Like they want to come in and test your herds, and next thing you know, they'll be killing the whole herd. So, um, sure, it could happen. Sure, it could happen. Anything can happen. Um, I I think it's funny, man, because as a producer, I got so many customers came up to me and were like, "Oh, are you happy about when Trump got elected?" Okay, and I'm not on any side. Okay, I place all my faith in God first and foremost, no man. But so many people would come up to us and like, "Oh, are you excited about the new administration? They're saying all these good things. It's going to change your lives." I'm like, "You are naive, brother. You are naive. If you think these people have our best interests at heart, they've got you fooled." And here we are, January, whatever today's date is. I'm pretty sure I remember RFK saying something about legalizing raw milk across the country on day one. That was silence, intentional silence, because as a
Yeah.
raw milk distributor, no, fat chance. Did you see who got put in charge of the USDA and what their background is in?
I just remember Joel saying that, yeah, she doesn't really have much farming background.
Oh, she's propped up by seed oils.
Okay.
Look into that.
Yeah. I remember, yeah, he did say Brooke, what's her last name?
Mhm.
Is it Brooke something?
Yeah, and everybody's still under the impression that, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but everyone is under the thought that Big Daddy Joel Salatin is going to be an advisor to the powers that be. And from what I'm understanding,
Brooke Rollins.
he was contacted in the beginning, but he hasn't heard much out of him, and he doesn't think that he's actually an advisor
Yeah.
anymore or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, so who asked me about that? I know. I was on Matt Christensen's show a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about my interview with Joel and bird flu and everything. And he asked me what I thought about the whole like Joel Salatin tapped for USDA. And I hate to be so negative about it, but I think it was just thrown as like a bone to the masses to kind of make us feel good. I was never in a million years did I think he was actually going to get that position. I'm
Yeah,
not
or
because I'm
Massey.
negative. It's just realistic. I mean, I just didn't think it was going to happen because how could the system continue the way it is with somebody like him? It would totally crumble. And like you said, I mean, it's just not going to. It's not going to. I just don't. Anyone who even gets the presidency, I really question. Like, if you got there, how you're how you're going to be really able to break it down. I mean, you wouldn't have been allowed to even get to that level probably of power if you were going to topple the entire thing. I just don't think it would have. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, that just
it's
makes me maybe a
it's
conspiracy
way too
theorist.
much money. It's way too much money they're threatening. I mean, it's come on. Anytime there's that much money involved, it's not going to be a straight deal. And so
Let me
what
ask
I
you.
tell people,
Yeah, go ahead.
that what I tell people, like, and I think all farms should act like this, like how we operate today is no different than how we operated yesterday, and it's no different than how I'm going to operate tomorrow, no matter who considers themselves my commander. Okay, it means absolutely nothing to me. Again, we answer to a higher commander who's given us the ability to feed our families the way that we see fit. Okay, end of story.
Before we go any further, don't forget your greenpasture.org, everybody, okay? This is the fermented cod liver oil, concentrated butter oil that I have been taking for over a decade. Kids take it. It's a great product that has helped me with, I used to get cavities all the time. I go to the dentist all the time. And it is formulated the way Dr. Weston Price, biological dentist, turn of the century, was noticing a lot of cavities in his patients from industrialized processed foods. And the butter oil and the fermented cod liver oil, they work together synergistically, the vitamins and the minerals together for the best absorption for your body. So you go to greenpasture.org, use Allison at checkout. You'll get 10% off.